All right, sir. Now we're here. It's interview time. We got Fernando Rover Jr., author of Maverick as well as Labyrinth, a poet, also putting pictures with the poetry, making sure that everybody can touch and see what's going on. We are so happy to have you here on the show. Gotta give the applause once again. That's what we're here for. So, um, with putting your books together, I saw that you're a award winner in 2019 for poetry for that amateur. Got the total deal that you had won for, but award winner. And I wanted to see like what type of musical influences were a part of your poetry, because poetry is, hip hop is that music, lyrics is poetry. So
Mhm.
what type of music, what type of musical influence did you have that kind of went along with that poetry? What's the rhythm? Because there's always a rhythm. I mean, myself, my co-host Regime, we did music together. Melissa writes music. Like there's a rhythm. There's always a rhythm. Everybody has their own cadence in their brain. That's how you get your style. That's how you get your rhythm. How did you come about, and what things influenced your rhythm when you were creating your poetry and your books?
So when it comes to my influences, I have a really broad spectrum of influences. Probably one of the best influences I have when I write or when I'm writing is I think of the hip hop group the Fugees. Um,
Nice.
Mm,
definitely,
yeah.
I definitely like them. I think their album, The Score, is probably one of the best for
Yes.
story, for storytelling. From the beginning to
Classic.
end, it's a story. But what I also commend the Fugees for is that even as solo artists, they have achieved um, artistic integrity in their own right. Lauren Hill has, White has, Praz has, you know, um, and
Yes.
I do wish that they would come back and do one more album, but that's here nor
Me
Mm,
there.
too.
Um, but yeah, I would say the Fugees is definitely an influence. I'm a huge storyteller fan. So like
mm,
Common, I'm a huge fan of his. Nas, and
yep.
I'm a huge fan of his as well. Even like Queen Latifah and like just storytellers and things like that. So that's pretty much kind of where a lot of my influences come from when it comes to poetry because you know poetry is it's the language of the everyday. It's
Mm,
you see something or you hear something or you feel something in your everyday life, and then when you write it down to a rhythm or to a metric, it becomes a poem. But the root of it and the baseline of it is an everyday experience, and I think that's true for any writing, to be honest with you. Writing is it's basically you commenting on the everyday human experience. And so for
mm,
me, that's a lot of where my poetry comes from. Is my everyday experiences, either what I myself have experienced in the past, or what I've seen others experience in the past, or even in the present. Just what I see, or something that intrigues me, or something that confuses me, even something that even bothers me, if that makes
mm.
sense.
Hmm. Definitely. Oh,
All
that's
right. So Melissa, do you have any questions?
well, I didn't get a chance to read your book, and may I make a recommendation? Is it possible that you offer your books also digitized format so people can purchase them and download them on electronic format? Because
Sure.
man, I really wanted to read your stuff before the show, and I was like, man, paperback, and Amazon will not get it here in time. But I wanted to get a little more insight, and it makes me curious about the title Labyrinth. I know Labyrinth with David Bowie is one of my favorite movies of all time. As a kid, I've always loved that movie.
Yeah,
The glass balls and the
that's
magic
well.
and
Yeah,
all of it. Is a good movie. But I wondered where you got the title from. If it was working through an internal maze of some sort, or if that was. Um, I'm curious of where the title
sure.
comes.
Sure. So, a few years ago, I got a chance to travel abroad in college. We went to Scotland. It's like a
Oh, cool.
little tiny island called Iona, and myself and 10 other students and two professors, we went on this 2 week pilgrimage, if you will. And it was interesting because it was 2 weeks. We didn't have our phones, we didn't have our laptops. Like, it was very much in a remote area. There was no like televisions anywhere. Like, it was kind of like going back in time, because our only source of like news was like newspapers. So that was very interesting, to get your news like through just paper, like not being able to like look at it in real time,
Yeah.
which is good, because the whole point of going there was to unplug in the first place. So it wasn't like this big ordeal, but it was something different. And when I was there, there was, the island's pretty small, and everyone that's on the island, they basically signify who all is there. So go walk around, and if somebody sees you, it's like, oh, you're with the group. Like, it's that communal. And I was, walking around, and I was exploring, and I came across this rock labyrinth. Basically, it was a labyrinth made of rocks, and it was like built around and all that kinds of like that. And came across it. The groundskeeper was there, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, what is that over there?" And he was like, "Oh, it's a labyrinth." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, what is that?" And he said, "Oh, it's basically this pilgrimage pathway that you can walk and meditate, and kind of work with your internal, whatever internal problem you have. You can sort of walk through that, and you can meditate, and you can even leave. You can take a stone or a rock with you, and it represents something you're trying to let go of, or something you're trying to, so either something you're trying to let go of, or something you want to unpack, or leave behind. And so you walk it, and then you go to the center, and then whatever it represents, you drop it there, and then you leave it there, and like metaphorically and literally, you leave it there. So that was interesting, because I had never seen a labyrinth before in that way. And I remember, going through like the gift shop and the different buildings that were on the island. The labyrinth was a pretty consistent symbol everywhere. I mean, it was everywhere. And when I got back from the States, it was like kind of living in my head for several weeks. And I thought, I want to use that as something. Because I've been a writer, for a long time. And I was like, I'm going to use that. I don't know if it's for a story or if it's for a novel. I don't know, but I want to use that, like the theme or the title or the word labyrinth for something. And around that same time, I started, and really the book itself wasn't like, oh, I'm sit down and I'm going to work on a book, and that be that. It was really something that was organic. It was something that was, one poem here, one poem there, every for a couple of months. And then, as time went on, I kind of collected them one by one, and I thought to myself, okay, I mean, I've never published a book before, but I mean, I have all this information, I have all these, poems, and I want people to see them. So the best way to do that is to get them published. And so, and of course, I remember I did study English in college, and my professor said, when you title something, it has to be an overarching theme in your work. So whenever you're looking for a title, it has to tie the whole project together.
So did you write it last? Was that the
Yeah.
last? Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so Labyrinth really was, for that project, it tied up together, because that book is particularly about experiences of Black men, and I think being a Black man is its own labyrinth, because you go through so many different journeys and so many different directions and so many internal struggles, if you will, and you always have to find your way back to the center of who you are. And so that's really what the overall thesis of a labyrinth is, at least for the poems, are for that book. And then for Maverick, which is recently published, I'm a huge like film person. I like film. I like, and not just like mainstream film, but like indie films and art films. Like I like films from a storytelling aspect. And one of my favorite filmmakers slash photojournalists is Gordon Parks, who was the director and writer of Shaft, the original Shaft.
Yeah,
And But before, a lot of people forget that before he was a director, he was a photojournalist. Like he went around the country and took photos for like Newsweek and Life and all these different mainstream publications. And he would take photos of like everyday people, like families and poverty-stricken people, and gas being spilled into the ocean, like there's all these different things. And they were very captivating images, and they told the story of what was going on in that image. And I was very much during the pandemic, I was very much influenced and perturbed by the state of gentrification in my hometown of San Antonio. So a lot of areas, particularly minority areas, Hispanic and Black owned areas, are being largely gentrified. A lot of the homes are being the taxes are going just sky high, and businesses are being pushed out, and in their places are these brand new state of the art techie businesses that are run by these, I hate to say this, but these kind of pseudo woke white people. Because I feel like, and it's just my opinion, but I feel like they, and I've had this conversation with my friends, like even my friends who are friends with these white business owners who they come across as meaning well, and they come across as someone that wants to quote unquote understand, but their actions are very much motivated by commerce and motivated by greed, and so that kind of contradicts what they're coming with, and so I was just very much perturbed by that. And I, of course, during the pandemic, everything was shut down. So, I, like many of my friends, would just drive around the block, just to get out the house for 2 hours, just get some fresh air. You know what I mean? And I sort of had this renewed sense of pride in my hometown that I hadn't had before, or if I had in the past, it was like a long time ago. And I was just seeing like these buildings that were once like monuments of the community are now like dilapidated and completely like torn down. Or I remember my friends and I, so one of our favorite water parks on the Black and Hispanic side of town is called Splash Town. And I'll never forget the day that we got the news that it was not only was being closed down, but it was being torn down, and in their place was some famous family that owns like cars in the area. They're opening up a car lot over there. And so I write for our local paper, and I basically called them out in the article.
Oh wow!
Ruffle some feathers, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, yes. I mean, if I'm being completely honest with parents, yes, because I feel like it wasn't something that any of us knew. Any of us knew about it, and I feel like that's the only. And to me, that's the only water park that was accessible to people on that side of town. I think the nearest water park or amusement park in San Antonio, the two remaining ones, are on the northern parts of town, where it's largely suburban, it's largely white, it's largely overpopulated. If you don't have a car, it's hard to get over there. You know what I mean? So it's just like these things aren't happenstance. This is intentional disenfranchisement, displacement. And it's, for me, it's like again, you hear about it in political spaces, and they have these giant forums about it and things like that, and they they bang their chest about how we're going to do the right thing, and we're going to put the community back into we're going to put this back to the community, and so on and so forth. But one of the things that I appreciate, the privileges I appreciate as an artist, is that I'm able to go in directions or go further than, say, a politician, because there are no rules. There's no rules. You kind of can go as we've seen with Kanye West. You can go as far as you want, or wherever you want to go. But for me, I just really wanted to get the point across that these places, these buildings that are now being torn down or falling apart, once had life in them. People used to
Right.
live here, and they used to, dream here, and they used to, go and sit on the sidewalk and think about their city, and now it's like you literally feel like it's a ghost town because it's just like, you know,
Yeah.
so that's really what Maverick was about. And if you look at the literal term or the definition of Maverick is somebody that goes against the grain, somebody that
Yeah.
is that doesn't
Yeah.
follow the rules. So that's
Right.
kind of where it came. That's what the direction I want to take that.
I like that.
Well, fantastic. I really appreciate it. We were able to, touch base on the Labyrinth as well as Maverick. Make sure everybody that's listening out there, go check those out on Amazon. They're in paperback. And make sure you make that order. Check out my man Fernando Rover Jr. It's been a great time, but we got one more thing that we got to do for you. We also have to respect your deck, man. So we have this thing called Respect Your Deck. And because this is, it's music related. And we talked about how music was related to how you did your poems and how you made your books and things of that nature. We usually ask like 3 questions. We ask, everybody wants to know, what's that one artist that you are like, hey, it doesn't matter what that artist puts out, that's what I'm going to. That artist is coming out with an album, I'm buying it no matter what. What's your number one artist that no matter what's going on, artist or group, I'm buying it no matter what the ratings or what anybody says about it?
Is it like outside hip hop or is it just within hip-hop?
Any music?
Go to.
Okay.
What's your go-to?
Oh my go-to when it comes to music is I'm gonna surprise people by this, but I mean that's a good thing. Is Sade.
Okay, Sade. All right, lover, not a fighter.
Because and I think I respect her, not only her artistry, but I respect her ability to keep herself like grounded and keep herself kind of protected. She's not really somebody that's like out there and doing stuff.
Right.
And she speaks directly through her music, and I think that's the best thing to do as an artist. Because I remember I saw this. I remember Beyonce did this interview about how music now come to subsidiated with like everyday occurrences. Like she was saying how artists, whenever you buy an artist's work, it used to be you bought their work because you loved the music and you appreciated them as an artist. Right. Now it's like you're concerned about who they're dating and who they're married to or who they had a beef with or who they, what this song is about because of this, controversy. And it's like the art's kind of being left, like it's kind of being left behind in a way. And one thing I like about artists like Sade, but even artists like Prince and other artists, they put their artistry in the forefront. Their personal life was completely irrelevant.
That's how everybody was. That was the social media thing, because that was where, I mean, as of right now, that's where you get the bag, as they say. You get the bag. If social media being wide open, just saying everything and anything because you're trying to get followers, because that's the bag. So that's the thing that's new. And then when it does go down that path of, oh man, it's messing up stuff, and all of a sudden I'm in beef with people and things of that nature, that's a part of the bag now. Like you just got to be like, all right, so now you blow the beef up even more, you hype it up instead of going, hey, I'm gonna go talk to this person and squash this. No, let's blow it up as much as possible and say outlandish things, and then a month and a half from now, or we may be saying stuff going, hey, I'm gonna say crazy stuff, just don't worry about it, it's not real. And then you go, I'm gonna hit them with that crazy stuff, and then they come back with crazy stuff, and we both know it's not real, and then we laugh ourselves to the bank because now we got more followers and everybody's beefing, but we up here rich as heck. And that's the new thing that people are doing, and folks are out there. That's the hustle of the social media. So yeah,
which brings me back to that business thing that we were talking about with Kanye earlier. Yep. It's design thinking.
That's the new
Harvard Business Review, and just a snippet of that to see why they study the trends of people and their behaviors to be able to sell them something.
Yep, that's the new
Yeah,
hustle.
that's true.
So we got your artist. So Sade's your artist. So talk to me. What's that one album that hey, you're on the the normal, hey, you're on the island. What's the one album that you're taking with you?
It would definitely have to be her fourth album, Love
Okay.
Deluxe.
All
For
right.
me, No Ordinary Love is probably one of the best, if not the most like beautiful love song that I've ever heard in my entire life. And not only that, but just the video. The video is just
Yeah, I
so
mean, hey, that was a
eccentric,
joint, man.
Just like her.
eccentric. Like she really was like, we're talking like there's so much controversy
Yeah.
about Ariel being black, but
Mhm.
she was a black mermaid back in the 90s.
Yeah,
So it's
that she was.
it's one of
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
it's one of those things where just
Yeah.
the concept of the video and just how
Mhm.
there's no dialogue, there's no like storyline. It's just
Right.
well, there's storyline, but
Yeah.
the music tells a story. So I
Right,
do
right.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So,
So we got
definitely
we
her
got
fourth album.
album Love Deluxe and your artist
Not
is
just that
Sade.
song, but like
Just
there's
not that song.
there's Cherish the Day, there's
Yeah.
Pearls, there's Just
That's a good
Life.
song.
There's
Yeah,
That's good.
all those good ones. So then if you were on an album or on an island and you had one song that you had to play the entire time you're there, what is that one song from any artist that you would play? Or what's your if you're a workout person or whatever is that one song that just turns it up or gives you that emotion or gives you that feeling?
Or keeps you sane.
Yeah, that too. You know what I
You can
mean?
be by yourself on the island,
Yeah, for sure.
have something to revisit.
I would repeat the same answer. It'd be No Ordinary Love.
Okay,
By Sade.
No Ordinary Love. There you go. Hey man, we have found the Sade fan. It's here. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, and I'm gonna give you all the applause because you are our first Sade. We've had a lot of Tupac on here. We've had, you know what I'm saying? We've had a whole bunch of like different hip hop joints. But Sade, you are the one bringing Sade to the table for season 2. I really appreciate it, man, because you know what I'm saying? I give no ordinary love. I mean, now you know what I'm saying? That's a jam right there. They be doing it. We got Sade out here. So we were respecting your deck. We always respect your deck. Those that are out here interview wise, we want to make sure that knowing that music influences everybody out here in anything that they do. They play it in their car, they play it at work, you hear it in elevators. Music is always an influence, and we wanted to see what influences you to make the great books and poetry that influence you on a day-to-day basis. So we really appreciate you once again. Thank you so much for coming through, interviewing with it. Go out, check out his books, Maverick and Labyrinth. You can find them on any bookshelves that are out there. You can get it through Amazon and things of that nature. So go check it out. Go pick it up for Fernando Rover Jr. Now,